So what if we looked at something like sex work? Not just through the usual lenses, law or economics.
But as something more profound, like a
Huh.
spiritual or ethical issue.
Exactly. Something deeply tied to, well, human dignity, love, maybe even karma.
That definitely takes us into different territory than the standard policy debates, doesn't it?
It really does. It forces us to think about our collective consciousness, that sort of shared pool of beliefs and attitudes that shape things.
Mm-hmm. The underlying fabric.
Right. And that's exactly what we're doing today in this deep dive. We're exploring those spiritual and ethical sides of sex work.
We're drawing on insights from a transcript, actually, from a YouTube video called Passion, Compassion, and Law, the Spiritual and Ethical Truth About Sex Work.
So our mission, really, for you listening, is to try and go beneath the surface here.
Yeah, to explore what this practice might actually mean for, well, for our souls and for that collective consciousness we mentioned.
And we'll look at what a legalization approach might look like if the goal was, genuine healing, not just papering over things.
Or perpetuating those societal shadows, as the source puts it. I think we'll unpack some surprising angles.
I'm definitely curious. Okay, so the source starts right off framing this not just as business, but as this deep social and spiritual issue.
Touching on dignity, love, karma.
Yeah.
And it frames legalization itself as a question of healing, not just policy change.
Which brings us to a core idea in the source, the law of cause and effect, karma.
Right. The principle that every action, maybe even the seemingly small ones, carries consequences. It's not just about big dramatic things.
It's connected to our inner state too, isn't it?
Very much so. The source actually shares a really vivid personal story about that.
Oh, yeah.
The author recalls being young, feeling wronged, and reacting with words that felt like poison, really intense rage.
Okay.
And then about a week later, boom, fever, sore throat, right during a midterm exam.
Wow.
And the realization came later that internal rage had essentially unleashed a kind of toxicity within his own body.
So our internal state, our emotions, they have real, almost physical effects. That really underscores that cause and effect idea.
Definitely. It's a powerful illustration of that universal law.
So if we scale that up to society, how we approach something like legalizing sex work, the source argues, reflects our collective consciousness, how we resonate with humanity.
And it lays out two potential paths, kind of forks in the road.
What are they?
Well, one path is full legalization, open and regulated.
Okay.
But, and this is the key part, only if it's genuinely accompanied by strong support systems, education, healing programs.
So if done right, it could potentially release hidden suffering.
It could. Or, conversely, if not done right, it could just create new injuries, new problems.
Right.
Legalization itself isn't the magic solution.
It hinges on how it's done, on whether it truly supports healing.
Exactly. And the other path.
The gray area, leaving it unregulated.
Mm-hmm. And the source points out that often means it's practiced by the most vulnerable people, those who are already, severely tested by fate.
And they end up deprived of basic rights and protections. That definitely raises questions about society's role.
It really does. And this leads to a subtler point the source makes about the value of the human soul.
What do you mean?
It asks, what are people actually seeking when they enter sex work? Is it love? Are they trying to fill some kind of emptiness?
Or is it purely transactional?
Yeah.
Just a business where the heart becomes like a commodity.
Right. And it mentions that many involved felt tired of their story, looking for something physical because something was missing internally.
Did they find it?
Some apparently found a kind of appreciation, maybe, but others just found another kind of void.
So the takeaway is that the soul needs more than just a transaction.
Precisely. It yearns for genuine connection, for fulfillment.
Which leads to this really strong assertion in the source, doesn't it? That any system, any institutionalization has to prioritize care for the soul.
Not just the body, yes. The idea is if the legal framework actively protects, educates, offers a path to healing, to self-worth,
then the suffering involved could actually become a catalyst for growth.
That's the potential transformation, yes. But
if it's just, what was the phrase? Perfume for society's shadow.
Yeah. If it just makes it look better on the surface without addressing the deeper issues, then it risks separating the soul even further from its light.
So real change needs a much deeper, more intentional approach than just changing the laws.
Absolutely. It has to be about genuine transformation.
And this idea of karma, of cause and effect, comes up again with another story, right? A personal one.
Yes, a really striking one. It involves an encounter the author had on a meditative journey
Okay.
with a man who just felt completely empty. He was suffering from headaches, this sort of lump in his throat.
Sounds rough.
And he confessed he'd been buying sex services for years, but he'd never once considered the impact. Not on the other person's soul and not on his own.
Just disconnection.
Total disconnection. So the author suggested a simple exercise.
What was it?
Every day, just express 3 things you're grateful for regarding the women in your life. Your mother, sister, a friend, anyone.
Just simple gratitude, acknowledging their value.
Exactly. And apparently, after just a week of doing this consciously,
What happened?
his eyes seemed brighter, the headaches eased up. He'd started to consciously value that female energy, see it as a gift, not just a service to be bought.
Wow. So the takeaway there is karma really is like a reflection.
That's the image the source uses, like a mirror. If we bring dust of inattention and crudity, we cloud it.
But if we bring droplets of reverence and love,
Then healing can actually bubble up. It's about the energy we bring to the interaction.
that makes a lot of sense. And connecting that back to legalization.
The implication is clear. Any legal framework has to avoid being grossly unscrupulous, as the source says. It needs that spiritual dimension.
Recognizing human dignity, seeing encounters as chances to maybe even heal those karmic wounds.
Exactly. Which leads us to another subtle layer the source explores, levels of consciousness and the vibrations of love.
Vibrations of love. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so the author describes this deep meditation experience where you could actually feel love's vibrations like streams of light.
Okay.
And in that state, it became really clear that any activity which diminishes love, feeling used, humiliated, separated from yourself, it doesn't just affect the individual.
It affects the collective.
Yes, yes. It lowers the collective vibration of humanity. It kind of weakens our shared energy field.
But the opposite is also true. Where there's respect, compassion, acceptance.
Conscious presence, yeah.
Yeah.
Love naturally unfolds, and that raises the collective vibration.
So this has huge implications for how society might approach sex work then.
Huge. The source warns that if it's legalized, but without really strong ethical standards, without access to, let's say, spiritual understanding or support,
Then that whole sector could just sink to these low vibrations. Fear, shame, guilt.
that's the risk. But there's also a more hopeful possibility presented.
Which is?
An approach that really emphasizes personal freedom, but also respect, genuine consent, and pathways to healing.
That could actually transform it. Make it a space for learning about love, boundaries.
Potentially, yes. Learning to recognize and express love in different ways while respecting those crucial boundaries. It's about the intention and the framework.
It sounds like humility is needed. Which, interestingly, the source brings up with another personal story.
Yeah, it seems unrelated at first, but it connects powerfully. The author talks about a time they were convinced they were right, couldn't possibly make a mistake.
We've all been there.
Right. Pushing their views aggressively. And it led to this argument with a calm friend who just sort of mirrored their pride back at them.
Ouch, that must have been uncomfortable.
Deeply embarrassing, apparently, forgetting the power of just listening.
So what do they do?
Spent a week just sitting quietly, humbly observing their own thoughts, and really felt, maybe for the first time in a while, what it meant to let go of being infallible.
To actually make space for others to teach you something.
Exactly. And the connection to legal reform, especially for something as sensitive as sex work,
Is that real change doesn't come from imposing your right answer.
no, it grows from humility, from genuinely listening to the people most affected, treating them fully as human beings, hearing their experiences.
Not just as statistics or problems to be solved.
Right. Which brings us back to the core principle the source identifies.
Love.
Love. It's presented as the great unifier, not in a judgmental way, but as a kind of measuring stick.
A measuring stick, not a condemning finger. I like that.
Yeah. Where love was present, healing was possible.
So if society, if the state moves towards legalizing sex work,
Mm-hmm.
the source sees this as a call to realize something new.
A new form of love, yes. Manifested in the material world. One that's free, but deeply respectful of boundaries.
Recognizing the sacredness of the body and the soul.
Mm-hmm. It's not about trying to somehow sanitize or make darkness marketable.
It's about finding the potential for compassion, healing, and growth, even within those greatest shadows.
That's the core insight. That real progress means elevating human dignity across the board, not just regulating an activity on the surface.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has certainly opened up some incredibly nuanced perspectives,
Yeah.
moving way beyond just law and economics into these spiritual and ethical dimensions.
It really has. And the message seems clear. If legalization is the path chosen, it can't just be a legal tweak.
It absolutely requires, from this viewpoint, a deep spiritual framework.
Yeah. Things like real healing programs, education focused on respect for body and soul, promoting healthy relationships.
Conscious emotional work, too, right?
Nah.
For everyone involved. It's a whole societal approach shift.
Grounded in awareness, yes.
And maybe, as the source kind of suggests at the end, the biggest mission isn't about finding one single definitive answer right now.
But maybe about staying open to new perspectives, continuing to learn.
Like a river, it says. Taking in water from different sources, flowing onward, purifying itself, finding balance.
That's a beautiful image, encouraging us all as a society to keep seeking that balance between freedom and responsibility.
Passion, compassion, law, and spiritual depth. Letting love, and maybe that humility we talked about, guide the way.
Finding a path forward, step by step.
So the final thought for you listening, what questions does this deep dive raise for you?